Snowflakes drifted through the frozen morning air. December 23rd. The city was preparing for Christmas, but not everyone would celebrate. Alexander Frost stepped out of his black Mercedes. 48 years old. Custom Italian suit worth $15,000. Net worth, $7 billion. Heart temperature, near zero. He was late for a meeting. A merger that would make him another $100 million. He had 5 minutes. Then he heard it. A small voice, shaking, desperate. "Mr. Please. My sister won't wake up." Alexander stopped. Every instinct told him to keep walking. He had a meeting. He had money to make. He had no time for distractions. But something made him turn around. Behind a concrete pillar, hidden from the rushing crowd, sat a little girl, maybe 8 years old. Torn winter jacket. No gloves. Her hands were blue from cold. And in her arms, wrapped in a thin blanket, was a baby. Not moving. Alexander's blood went cold. Before you skip this story, I need you to understand something. What happens in the next 60 minutes will change how you see wealth, power, and what it means to be truly rich. Stay until the end. And if this story touches your heart, even for a second, hit that subscribe button. Because stories like this need to be heard. Alexander knelt down, his expensive suit touching the dirty snow. "What's your name?" "Emma," the girl whispered, tears frozen on her cheeks. "This is my sister Rose. She's only 6 months old. She won't drink milk. She won't cry. She just sleeps." Alexander looked at the baby. Her lips were pale, her breathing shallow. This wasn't sleep. This was hypothermia. "Where's your mother?" Emma's voice broke. "She left 3 days ago. She said she'd come back with food. But she didn't. I waited. I waited so long. Then Rose got sick. I tried to keep her warm, but... The girl couldn't finish. She just held her baby sister tighter. Alexander's mind raced. He was a businessman. He solved problems with money and strategy. But this required something he hadn't used in 20 years. Compassion. He pulled off his coat, $12,000 cashmere, and wrapped it around both girls. "Emma, listen to me very carefully. Your sister is very sick. We need to get her to a hospital right now. Do you trust me?" Emma looked up at him with eyes that had seen too much suffering for 8 years. "Will she die?" Alexander's throat tightened. "Not if I can help it. Come on." He scooped up baby Rose. She was so light, too light. Emma grabbed his hand, and they ran. His driver jumped out, confused. "Sir, the meeting." "Forget the meeting. Nearest hospital. Now, break every speed limit." They flew through the city. Alexander held Rose against his chest, trying to warm her with his body heat. Emma pressed against him, shaking. "Stay with us, Rose," Alexander whispered. "Stay with us." The baby's eyes fluttered. Just barely. But it was something. St. Catherine's Hospital. Emergency entrance. Alexander burst through the doors carrying the baby, Emma running beside him. "I need a doctor. Now. Infant hypothermia. Possible malnutrition." Nurses rushed forward. A doctor appeared. They took Rose from his arms and disappeared through double doors. Emma screamed, "Rose, don't take her." Alexander grabbed her shoulders gently. "They're helping her. They're saving her. You did the right thing asking for help. But what if? No what ifs. You saved your sister's life by being brave. Now we wait." They sat in the waiting room. Emma's small hand gripped his. She wouldn't let go. Alexander looked down at this child who'd lost everything but refused to give up on her sister. He saw something in her he'd forgotten in himself. Hope. His phone buzzed. 12 missed calls. 8 text messages. The merger was falling apart without him. He turned off his phone. For the first time in 20 years, something mattered more than money. 2 hours passed. Emma fell asleep against Alexander's shoulder, exhausted. He sat perfectly still, letting her rest. A nurse approached. "Are you the father?" "No. I'm—" Alexander paused. What was he? A stranger? A rescuer? "I'm the one who brought them in. How's the baby?" The nurse's expression softened. "She's stable. Severe hypothermia, dehydration, malnutrition. Another few hours and, well, you saved her life." Relief flooded through Alexander. "Can I see her? Are you family?" Alexander looked at Emma, still sleeping. This child had trusted him, had grabbed his hand and believed he would help. That meant something. "Yes," he lied. "I'm family." The nurse led him to the pediatric ICU. Rose lay in a small incubator, tubes and monitors attached. But her color was better, her breathing steady. Alexander stood at the window watching her. So small, so fragile, so close to death. Emma appeared beside him, rubbing her eyes. She saw Rose and started crying. Happy tears. "She's alive. She's really alive. She's a fighter, just like her big sister." A doctor approached. Dr. Sarah Chun, mid-40s, kind eyes. "I need to ask some questions. Where are the parents?" Emma's face fell. Alexander answered for her. "Mother abandoned them 3 days ago. Father unknown. Emma's been taking care of Rose alone." Dr. Chen's expression darkened. 3 days? An 8-year-old caring for an infant? Where were they staying? "I found them outside my office building. On the street." "My God!" Dr. Chun knelt down to Emma's level. "Sweetheart, you did something incredibly brave. You saved your sister. But we need to find help for both of you. Do you have any other family?" Emma shook her head. "Just Mom. And she's gone." Dr. Chun looked at Alexander. "I have to call Child Protective Services. It's protocol." Alexander's jaw tightened. He knew what that meant. Emma and Rose would enter the system. Foster care. Probably separated. Emma would blame herself. Rose would grow up without her sister. "Wait!" Alexander heard himself say. "Give me 24 hours. "Sir, I can't. 24 hours. I'll find their mother. Or I'll find a solution. But don't make that call yet. Please." Dr. Chun studied him. "Why do you care so much? You don't even know these children." Alexander looked at Emma, at Rose fighting for life in that incubator, at the future hanging in the balance. "Because someone should," he said quietly. "Someone should care." Dr. Chun hesitated, then nodded. 24 hours. "But if you can't find a solution, I have no choice." Alexander took Emma to the hospital cafeteria. She ate like she hadn't seen food in days. Because she hadn't. 3 sandwiches. 2 bowls of soup. A muffin. Juice. She ate until she couldn't anymore. "When did you last eat?" Alexander asked gently. "Yesterday. Found half a sandwich in a trash can. Gave most of it to Rose, but she couldn't eat it. She's too little." Alexander's heart cracked. This child had been starving herself to feed a baby who couldn't even eat solid food. "Emma, I need you to tell me everything. About your mom. Where you lived. Anything that might help me find her. Emma wiped her mouth. Looked down. Mom's name is Rachel. Rachel Walker. We lived in an apartment, but we got evicted. Mom lost her job. She tried to find new work, but nobody would hire her. We stayed with friends, but then they kicked us out too. So we lived in our car. Until someone stole it. When was that? 2 weeks ago. We've been on the street since then. Mom tried shelters, but they were full. Everyone said to wait, to come back tomorrow. But tomorrow never had space either. Alexander felt anger rising. Not at Emma. At a system that let this happen. At a society that could let an 8-year-old and a baby freeze on the streets while people walked past. Your mom just left? Without explanation. Emma's eyes filled with tears. She was crying. She said she was sorry. She said she couldn't watch us die. She said maybe if we were alone, someone would help us. Someone who could actually help. Alexander understood. Rachel Walker hadn't abandoned her children. She'd made an impossible choice. She believed they had a better chance without her. She was wrong. But Alexander understood the desperation that led to that moment. Emma, I'm going to find your mother. I promise. How? I have resources. Money. People. I'll find her. He made calls. His head of security. His private investigator. His legal team. I need to find a woman named Rachel Walker. Last known address. He looked at Emma. She told him. His team worked fast. Within 3 hours, they had a lead. Rachel Walker had been seen at a homeless shelter on the east side. She'd been asking about her daughters. Crying. Desperate. Alexander drove there himself. Emma insisted on coming. The shelter was overcrowded. Desperate people everywhere. Families sleeping on floors. Children crying. The smell of unwashed bodies and despair. Alexander walked through, Emma clinging to his hand. People stared at his expensive suit. Some with hope. Some with resentment. Then Emma screamed. Mom! Rachel Walker sat in a corner, head in her hands. She looked up, saw Emma. Disbelief. Then she was running. Emma! Oh God, Emma! They collided. Rachel grabbed her daughter, sobbing. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I thought if I left you somewhere rich people were, someone would help. I thought you'd have a better chance without me. Rose is alive, Emma said through tears. This man saved her. He brought us to the hospital. Rachel looked at Alexander. Really looked at him. Recognition dawned. You're Alexander Frost, the billionaire. Yes. Why would you help us? We're nobody. We're nothing. Alexander knelt down to her level. You're not nothing. You're a mother who made an impossible choice because you love your children. And I'm helping because I can. Because I should. Because if I don't, who will? Rachel broke down. Completely broke down. Years of struggle, shame, fear. All of it poured out. Alexander let her cry. Then he said, Come with me. Both of you. We're going back to the hospital. Rose needs her mother. Emma needs her mother. And you need to see that your daughters are fighters. Just like you. At the hospital, Rachel sat beside Rose's incubator, touching the glass, whispering apologies. Rose's tiny hand moved, reached toward the sound of her mother's voice. She knows you, Dr. Chan said softly. Babies always know their mother. Rachel looked at Alexander. I don't know how to repay you. I have nothing. No money. No home. No job. Nothing. I'm not asking for repayment. Then what do you want? Alexander thought about that. What did he want? He'd spent 20 years accumulating wealth, building an empire, crushing competitors. He'd become one of the richest men in America. And this morning he'd almost walked past two dying children. "I want to help," he said simply. "Really help. Not just today, but long-term, permanent solutions." "I don't understand." Alexander pulled up a chair, sat down. "Rachel, how did you end up on the streets?" She told him everything. Her husband died 2 years ago. Sudden heart attack. Life insurance lapsed. Medical bills destroyed their savings. She lost her job when she had to care for him. Evicted. No family support. The spiral into homelessness. "I tried everything," Rachel whispered. "Applied to hundreds of jobs. But with no address, no phone, no childcare. Nobody would hire me. I fell through every crack in the system. And my babies suffered because I failed." "You didn't fail. The system failed you. That doesn't change anything." "It changes everything," Alexander said, "because systems can be fixed. And I'm going to fix it." Rachel stared at him. "What do you mean?" Alexander stood, walked to the window, looked out at the city, at all the wealth, all the poverty, all the invisible people suffering while others lived in luxury. "I have $7 billion, he said quietly. "I made most of it by being ruthless, by putting profit over people, by telling myself that business was just business and compassion was weakness. This morning, I almost walked past your daughters, almost let them die because I had a meeting to make more money I don't even need." He turned back to Rachel. "But Emma grabbed my coat. She asked for help. And for the first time in 20 years, I actually saw someone. Really saw them. Not as a problem or a distraction, but as a human being who needed help." Tears ran down Rachel's face. "So here's what's going to happen," Alexander continued. "I'm going to pay off your debts. All of them. I'm going to set you up in an apartment. Safe, warm, near good schools. I'm going to give you a job at one of my companies. Real job, real salary, benefits, childcare. I'm going to make sure Emma and Rose have everything they need. Education, healthcare, opportunity." Rachel couldn't speak, just shook her head in disbelief. "But that's not enough," Alexander said. "Because you're not the only Rachel. You're not the only Emma. There are thousands, tens of thousands. Families destroyed by circumstances. Good people who just need a chance." He pulled out his phone, made a call. "David? It's Alexander. Cancel all my meetings for the next month. I'm restructuring priorities. I need you to set up a foundation. The Frost Foundation. Initial funding $1 billion. Focus: housing and job assistance for homeless families. Start immediately." He hung up, looked at Rachel. "You're going to help me run it. You know what these families need because you've lived it. You're going to help me build something that actually works." Rachel stood, walked to him, looked up at this billionaire who'd stopped his entire life to save her daughters. "Why?" she whispered. "Why are you doing this?" Alexander looked at Emma, sleeping in a chair, at Rose, fighting for life, at Rachel, who'd lost everything but never stopped trying. "Because I just realized something. I've spent 20 years building wealth, but I've never built anything that actually mattered. Until today." 3 months later, Emma skipped through the snow. New winter coat, warm boots, backpack full of school supplies. She was thriving in 3rd grade, top of her class. Rose was healthy, growing, laughing. The baby who almost died was now a happy 9-month-old. Rachel worked at Frost Industries as Director of Community Outreach. She helped identify families in crisis, connected them with resources, gave them hope. And Alexander? He was different. He still ran his company, still made money, but now he made it mean something. The Frost Foundation had helped 847 families in 3 months, provided housing for 2,000 people, placed 600 people in jobs, saved countless lives. But it wasn't enough. Alexander knew it wasn't enough. He called a press conference. Every major news outlet attended. Alexander Frost, the notoriously private billionaire, was making an announcement. 3 months ago, Alexander began, I almost walked past 2 dying children. I almost let them freeze to death because I was late for a meeting. A meeting to make money I don't need. But an 8-year-old girl named Emma grabbed my coat and asked for help. And that moment changed my life. He showed a slide. Emma and Rose. Before and after. This is Emma and Rose Walker. 3 months ago they were homeless, starving, dying. Today they're healthy, safe, thriving. Not because of charity. Because someone stopped. Someone looked. Someone cared. Another slide. Statistics. Homeless families. Child poverty. Preventable deaths. In America, the wealthiest nation on earth, 17 million children live in poverty. 2.5 million children experience homelessness. Thousands die from preventable causes. Not because we lack resources. We have more than enough. We lack will. We lack compassion. We lack people who give a damn. The room was silent. So here's what I'm doing. I'm giving away half my wealth. $3.5 billion. Over the next 5 years. To build housing. To create jobs. To provide health care. To make sure no child ever has to sleep on the street again. Not in my city. Not if I can prevent it. Gasps. Whispers. Cameras flashing. But money isn't enough. We need systemic change. So I'm also pledging to pay every employee at Frost Industries a living wage. Minimum $25 per hour. Full benefits. Childcare support. Housing assistance if needed. Because my workers are the reason I'm wealthy. They deserve to share in that wealth. One reporter stood. Mr. Frost, won't this destroy your profit margins? Alexander smiled. It'll reduce them, but I'll still make hundreds of millions. More than I can possibly spend. The question isn't whether I can afford it. The question is, how was I okay with keeping all of it while people who work for me couldn't afford rent? Another reporter, do you expect other billionaires to follow your example? I hope so, but I'm not waiting for them. I'm starting now. Because Emma doesn't have time to wait. Rose doesn't have time to wait. The thousands of children sleeping on the streets tonight don't have time to wait. The story went viral. Hashtag Frost Foundation trended worldwide. Some praised him. Some called him crazy. Some said he was destroying capitalism. Alexander didn't care. He just worked. 1 year after meeting Emma, the Frost Foundation had grown exponentially, operating in 30 cities, helped 12,000 families, built 500 housing units, placed 5,000 people in jobs. But the opposition was fierce. Other billionaires called Alexander a traitor. You're making us all look bad, they said. You're raising expectations. People will demand we do the same. Good, Alexander replied. They should. Politicians attacked the foundation. Private charity can't solve systemic problems. This is just a billionaire trying to buy good PR. Alexander appeared on 60 Minutes. You're right. Private charity can't solve systemic problems. That's why I'm also lobbying for universal health care, affordable housing mandates, and living wage laws. I'm using my wealth to push for the policies that would make my foundation unnecessary. That's the goal. To work myself out of a job. The interviewer was shocked. You want to eliminate the need for your own foundation? Absolutely. If we had proper social safety nets, Emma and Rose would never have been on that street. Rachel would have had support after her husband died. The foundation exists because our system is broken. Fix the system, you don't need the foundation. The interview was watched by 40 million people. 3 other billionaires announced similar foundations. Then 5 more. Then 12. The movement was growing. But so was the backlash. One night, Alexander received a death threat. You're destroying the American dream. Stop or we'll stop you. His security team wanted him to back off, to scale back, to protect himself. Alexander refused. The American dream is that everyone has a chance, not just the wealthy. I'm not destroying it. I'm trying to rebuild it. Emma, now 9 years old, heard about the threats. She wrote Alexander a letter. Dear Mr. Frost, please don't stop helping people because of mean people. You saved me and Rose. Now you're saving lots of other kids. That makes you a hero. Heroes don't give up. Love, Emma. Alexander kept that letter in his pocket. Read it whenever doubt crept in. 5 years after meeting Emma, the Frost Foundation had helped 100,000 families, built 5,000 housing units, placed 50,000 people in permanent jobs, contributed to passing 3 major housing reform laws. Child homelessness in Alexander City had dropped by 62%. Emma was 13 now, straight-A student, wanted to be a doctor. To help people like Alexander helped her. Rose was 5, healthy, happy, no memory of those frozen days on the street. Rachel was the foundation's CEO. She'd become one of the most effective advocates for homeless families in the country, speaking at Congress, writing policy, changing laws. And Alexander, he'd given away $4 billion. Had $3 billion left, lived in a normal house now, drove a regular car, wore suits that cost hundreds, not thousands. He was happier than he'd ever been. One evening, Emma came to his office. Can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever regret it? Giving away so much money? Alexander thought about that morning 5 years ago. The choice he almost didn't make. The life he almost didn't change. Emma, for 48 years, I measured success by how much I had. How much money. How much power. How much control. I thought that's what made life meaningful. Then you grabbed my coat. And I learned that meaning doesn't come from what you have. It comes from what you give. Who you help. Who you save. Emma smiled. Mom says you're the best man she's ever known. Your mom is biased. She has to be nice to her boss. You're not her boss. You're family. Alexander felt his throat tighten. Yeah, I guess I am. Emma hugged him. Tight. Like she used to when she was 8 and scared and trying to save her sister. Thank you for stopping, she whispered. Thank you for not walking past us. Alexander held her, this child who changed everything, who taught him that wealth means nothing if you don't use it to help others. Thank you for grabbing my coat, he said. You saved my life too. 10 years after meeting Emma, Alexander was 58. Emma was 18, graduating high school, valedictorian. full scholarship to medical school. Rose was 10, bright, curious, wanted to be a teacher. Rachel was thriving. The foundation was now operating in all 50 states, had helped 500,000 families, changed millions of lives. Alexander stood at Emma's graduation, watched her give her speech. 10 years ago, Emma said to the crowd, I was 8 years old and homeless. My baby sister was dying. I was scared, alone, invisible. Hundreds of people walked past us that morning, but one man stopped. One man looked. One man cared. And that changed everything. She looked at Alexander in the audience. Mr. Frost taught me that wealth isn't about money. It's about what you do with it. Power isn't about control. It's about how you use it to lift others. And success isn't about what you accumulate. It's about what you give away. Standing ovation. After the ceremony, Emma pulled Alexander aside. I got accepted to Johns Hopkins. Best medical program in the country. I know. I wrote you a recommendation letter. She laughed. I know. They told me. But Alexander, I want to specialize in pediatrics. I want to help kids like Rose. Kids who are sick and poor and invisible. Kids who need someone to fight for them. Alexander's eyes watered. Your sister would have died without you. Now you're going to save hundreds more. I'm so proud of you. I learned from the best. They stood in comfortable silence. Then Emma asked, What's next for you? You've changed the world. What else is there? Alexander thought about that. He'd given away $6 billion now. Had $1 billion left. More than enough for a comfortable life. I'm going to keep going, he said, until every child has a home, until every family has a chance, until nobody has to choose between rent and food, until nobody is invisible. That's going to take a long time. Then I better get started. Emma hugged him. You know what Mom says? She says you're not a billionaire anymore. You're just a really good person with some money left. Alexander laughed. That's the best thing anyone's ever said about me. 20 years after meeting Emma, Alexander Frost was 68. Worth $100 million. He'd given away everything else. The Frost Foundation had helped 2 million families, changed the lives of 10 million people. Emma was a doctor now, Dr. Emma Walker, running a free clinic for homeless families, treating the patients others ignored. Rose was a social worker, helping families navigate the system, making sure nobody fell through the cracks like her family did. Rachel had written a book, From Street to CEO, One Family's Journey and the Billionaire Who Saved Us. It became a New York Times bestseller. And Alexander? He was happy, truly happy. He sat in a small apartment now. No mansion, no luxury, just enough. His phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Alexander Frost? Yes. My name is Michael. I'm homeless. My daughter is sick. I don't know what to do. Someone told me you help people. Is that true? Alexander stood up, grabbed his coat. Where are you? Outside the library on 5th Street. Stay there. I'm coming. And Michael? Your daughter is going to be okay. I promise. He hung up, walked out into the cold morning. Snow was falling, just like 20 years ago. And Alexander Frost, the man who almost walked past, was walking toward someone who needed help. Because that's what he did now. That's who he was. Not a billionaire. Not a CEO. Just a man who learned that the only wealth that matters is the lives you change. The only power that matters is the help you give. And the only success that matters is making sure nobody is invisible. If you believe one person can change the world, subscribe. If you believe wealth should serve humanity, hit that like button. If you believe everyone deserves to be seen, share this story. Because somewhere right now, someone is freezing. Someone is hungry. Someone is invisible. Be the person who stops. Be the person who looks. Be the person who cares. The world needs more people like Alexander Frost. And maybe that person is you.